This is going to be a long yet painful chapter this time. So, everyone, please buckle up while also having your fist ready to just pound in anger, alright? One person was not taken by Michael Jackson's relationship with Jordan was everyone else. Jordan's father, Evan Chandler. The odd situation between Jordan and Michael Jackson evolved so quickly Evan couldn't seem to keep track of it. When June would telephone him to tell him about their Neverland visits, he found it difficult to believe that a world famous entertainer would also have that much time to spend with his ex wife and their child. Also, June and Evan had been arguing about Evan's involvement in Jordan's life. June didn't feel that Evan was spending enough time with his son. Evan disagreed. However, he couldn't help but feel that he might be losing his place in Jordan's life to Michael. He didn't believe that Michael was doing anything wrong with Jordan. Rather, he simply felt the presence of another man, an influential male figure in his son's life, and he didn't like it. It didn't help matters that Jim will often take reference to the fact that Jordan saw Michael more than he did his own father. Michael is completely influential on your son, she told Eva during one conversation, and he's taken over where you have left off. When he learned that Michael was sleeping with Jordan, Evan became upset. It's preposterous, he told his ex wife, according to what he later recalled. It isn't right. Well, that's what I thought at first, June explained to him. But you have to be there. You have to see how kind and gentle Michael was with Jordan. BS, Evan said angrily, according to his memory. That's not right, and I want it to stop. Well, it's not going to, June told him. I've already been through with this with Michael, and I know it's fine. I'm Jordan's mother, she said. I know it's best for him. How dare Evan try to tell June how to raise her son? She was doing the best job she could. She felt and had given the matter regarding Jordan and Michael serious consideration. She did not want Evan to second guess her. When Evan polled his friends, they agreed that there was something inappropriate about Jordan sleeping in the same bed with Michael Jackson. One of his patients, Evan was a dentist, suggested that just to be on the safe side, he should and such behavior stop. She was familiar with Michael's dermatologist, Arnold Klein, and, at Evan's request, called the doctor to inquire about Michael. Klein told her that Michael was absolutely heterosexual, and according to him, there is no reason to be concerned about him and Jordan. He's the sweetest guy in the world, Arnold said, and I swear to God, you would be making a mistake separating him and Jordan. He's completely innocent, like a kid himself. Still, despite Clinton's reassurance, Evan Chandler's patient said that, at least in her opinion, an adult should not be sleeping in the same bed with a youngster unless he is the child's parent, and even when such sleeping arrangements should be closely monitored. Another of Evan's friends, excuse me, Dr. Mark Torberner had to agree something was wrong with the arrangement. As it existed between Jordan and Michael, it should be stopped, he insisted. It's not normal, said Toberner. Come on, be realistic. In the real world, this is crazy. On Sunday, April 18th, Michael returned from his business trip to the East Coast. As soon as he got to Neverland, he picked up the telephone to call Jordan and invite him and his mother and his sister to the ranch for a 5-day vacation. Now, Evan was closely monitoring the frequency of Jordan's visits with Michael and becoming unreasonably uncomfortable about them. On April 22nd, much to Evan's chagrin, Michael took June, asked if he could stay at the house with June and her children. Again, Michael slept in the same bed with Jordan. About a week later, Michael bought Jordan a computer. The youngster was thrilled about the present. Everyone was not happy about it. He had planned to buy his son the exact same computer and Michael had beaten him to it. It was decided by Michael and Jordan that the computer would be set up at Michael's house so that when Jordan spent time there, he will have access to the internet. Jordan now felt that the more time he spent at the hideout, the better off he was, and June agreed. Since she trusted Michael with her son and maybe to spite Evan, or maybe not, she allowed the visits, most of them overnight, to continue. In early May, Michael offered to take June, Jordan, and Lily to Monaco for the World Music Awards, where Michael was being honored with three trophies, including World's, World's Best Selling Record Artist of the Era. The Jackson entourage would be traveling first class and would stay in the $2,000 a night Winston Churchill suite at the Hotel de Paris. The finest such establishment in the Principality will it promised to be an exciting vacation for June and her family. For his part, having his friends with him on this overseas trip meant that Michael did not have to leave them behind. He couldn't bear the idea of that. On the day they were to leave, Evan Chandler came by the Schwartz house to say goodbye to his son. Though he still had not met Michael Jackson, he had no choice but to trust that June knew what she was doing when she agreed to the trip. Disturbingly, though, Evan noticed that Jordan now seemed oddly cold toward him. Evan would later remember feeling that his son had changed, that he no longer seemed to care about his father. As Jordan climbed into the limousine with June and Lily, Evan stood at the curb and watched them chatter among themselves, as he recalled it, felt left out of the proceedings. Later, he would say, I felt then that maybe June should just divorce Dave since they were having problems, and maybe hook up with Michael. After all, they were having a good time. If I have some reservations about it, maybe I was wrong, I reasoned. Maybe I was wrong. At Monaco, Michael was often photographed with June, Jordan, and Lily in several pictures. He is seen holding Lily in his arms while walking next to June. Jordan, in a red shirt and large, oversized hat that clearly belonged to Michael, walked ahead of them. During the show, Michael sat next to Prince Albert with Jordan on his lap. On Sunday, May 16th, Michael and his guests returned from Europe. While browsing on the airport's gift shop, they found a feature story in the National Enquirer tabloid about Michael's new adopted family. Along with the article were photographs of Michael with Jordy at Disney World. Oh no, don't believe that stuff, Michael told his friends, even though the article was obviously true. The stuff they wrote about me is all lies. Unbeknownst to Michael, Evan Chandler also seen the article. He worried that such publicity might set Jordy up as a target for kidnappers, and in his opinion, the situation between his son and a man he had never met, Michael Jackson, was out of control. Evan had a tense telephone conversation with June about the situation. He also telephoned Dave Schwartz to tell him how he felt about the article, which resulted in a loud argument between the two men. Though Dave had been on his estranged wife's side, his position changed after the article came out, and his friends began calling to express sympathy that he allows his family to Michael Jackson. He demanded that June break off her relationship with Michael. She refused, saying that Michael had been kind to her and the children, and that for him to try to interfere at this point was just plain selfish. Afterward, June told Michael Jackson about the many emotional and argumentative conversations relating to him and Jordan. which had taken place just a few hours. Concerned, Michael felt that what had transpired was typical of the behavior of adults. See, grown-ups don't trust each other, and that's the real problem here, he told June. It's such a shame that this kind of thing happens, isn't it? Now, quick little pause. This is why when I was setting up the streams, this is why I also. Sorry, let me restart. This is why when I was setting up the streams, I set to the stream to be educational. That's why, for the third time, I'm going to tell you guys this. You need to listen carefully. Don't jump to conclusions. Just listen and understand about what is about to happen. And the real reason by this part one is taking place. During the first weekend of June 1993, Jordan Chandler was entertaining Michael Jackson at his home with his father. Evan stepped by for a surprise visit. Michael and Jordan were playing in Jordan's bedroom when Evan entered the room. Shy about meeting Evan was he is about meeting most people for the first time. Michael ducked into a corner. Evan walked around the room with his mouth agape, unaware that Michael was in the shadows. My God, look at all this stuff, Jordan. Evan said, astonished by the sight of how many thousands of dollars worth of compact disc videos, Nintendo cartridges, and toys, we have them still in boxes. Where'd you get all this stuff from? He asked. Just as Evan asked the question, he caught a glimpse of movement in the corner. It was Michael. He had on his black hat and a band-aid on his nose. He was chewing gum. Hello, Mr. Chandler, he said, extending his hand. At the moment, Evan's 5-year-old son Nicky from his second marriage ran into the room. Wow, Michael Jackson! Exclaimed the youngster within moments. Nicky was on the floor with Michael, playing with action figures and wrestling with him. As Evan and Jordan looked on, later Alflor went into the backyard to play with slingshots. Maddeningly, Michael kept touching his nose every few minutes. No one knew why, no one asked. By the time they left the house, Evan was completely taken with Michael. He had been kind and considerate to the children, funny and completely normal acting as Evan later recalled it. A few days later, Michael felt comfortable enough with Evan to invite him to the hideout. He suggested that Michael bring Nicky. When father and son arrived, they found Jory and Michael waiting for them. Michael then presented Nicky with an assortment of toys, and Evan with a Cartier timepiece. Later, as the boys played, Evan told Michael told Evan that he hoped to be able to take Jordan with him on the second leg of his dangerous tour, which will begin on the August 24th, 1993, at the National Stadium in Thailand, Bangkok. He felt that Jordan might obtain a unique education on the road with him, as countries such as Taiwan, Japan, Russia, Israel, and Turkey, and Mexico. Michael hoped that everyone would think of his offer as a rare opportunity for Jordan and perhaps discuss the matter with June. Everyone will recall again feeling uneasy about Michael. He had to ask the question, Michael, what exactly is the nature about your relationship with Jordan? Well, I don't know what to say, Michael responded, except that it's he seemed to search for the right word. It's cosmic, he finally said. Evan got to the point. Look, are you happy with my son? He asked. One would think such a question will be asked by Evan while his hands were wrapped around Michael's throat. But Evan recalled his demeanor as Evan being calm and collected. Michael was shocked. He couldn't believe Evan would ask him such a question in such a straightforward a way. My God, I can't believe you would ask me that, he said. The two men stared at each other for a few moments, apparently not knowing what to say. Evan decided not to push the issue. Instead, he asked, "Well, if you don't want to be friends with my son in the future, he'll be so hurt." "No, I want to be friends with Jordan," Michael asked, "but that'll never happen. No one is more loyal than me. I will always be Jordan's friend." An awkward silence hung between the two men. Finally, Evan suggested that he and Michael join the youngsters in Michael's arcade. At this point, as Evan Chandler recalled it, he truly did not know whether to approve of Michael or not. He vacillated between feeling exhilaration and uneasiness. After all, Michael didn't really deny that anything inappropriate was going on, nor did he admit it. In a few days' time, Michael was again awestruck by Michael's presence in Jordan's life, enough to suggest that Michael even spend more time with him. The suggestion came when Michael showed up at Nikki's birthday party on May 22nd, 1983, astonishing all of the guests who could fathom that the Michael Jackson was playing with their children at a friend's birthday party. Who would want his kid to be Michael Jackson's pal? Evan said at the time. He even suggested that Michael build a new wing into the home so that he might have to make the trek from Santa Barbara to Los Angeles visit just to visit Jordan. You could just stay here, he offered, but you'd be more comfortable building an addition to the house, I think. Buckle took the offer seriously enough to have his representatives check with the zoning division of the county in which Evan lived to determine if it would be possible to build such an addition to the house. That night, Michael stayed at Evan's home, sleeping in the same room with Jordy and Nikki. After the two boys watched a video of Peter Pan with Michael, Evan bid them good night and closed the bedroom door. The last thing I saw was Michael Jackson tucked into a roll-up bed and his two sons in bunk beds. Jordan in the bottom bed and Nikki at the top. Those will remain the sleeping arrangements at Evan's home for the next 2 nights. What a strange scene. Michael Jackson, arguably the wealthiest and most accomplished entertainer in show business, curled up in an uncomfortable rolled up bed while sleeping in a room with two youngsters. Didn't he have any responsibilities? As if the person in Jordan's room had no plans for the future, certainly no recording dates or concert committees. Wasn't he known to rub shoulders with movie stars, magnates, and members of royal family such as Diana, Princess of Wales? Why did he never mention them? Where was his family? What did he never spoke about them? He never once mentioned his brothers or the names of any of his siblings. And wasn't he supposed to be wealthy? According to Forbes, he had earned $55 million the year before. Why did he dress only in old jeans and t-shirts? Why did he wear the same black loafers every day? When on occasion, he did refer to his wealth. It seemed incongruous. For instance, Evan once watched Michael and Jordan shot water pistols at tomatoes lined up on a ledge. Michael told the youngster, "I was thinking about buying my own private jet." Jordan shrugged. Then Michael said, "You know what? I'll bet if I stood back 3 more feet, I could still hit that tomato right over there." If anyone had told Evan that the person sleeping in his son's bedroom was actually a Michael Jackson impersonator, he would have believed it, and that's how little the life of the man in the rolled up bed seems to have in common with the genuine arcade of pop. Over the next couple of days, Evan and Michael forge ahead with their own friendship. They discuss family matters as well as Jordan and Nikki's education. Michael mentioned that Jordan had often described Evan as a terrific father, and Michael noted his own admiration of Evan's dedication to his children. They also discussed Dave Schwartz and his displeasure over the National Enquirer's assertion that Michael had stolen his family. Michael said he had to agree with Dave that the story was in bad form. Michael explained that he had learned to live with sensational articles about himself and his friends, and he hoped Evan would not hold this warrant against him. Michael said he liked Michael very much and would happily allow him to continue to be friendly with Georgia and Nikki. The two men shook hands and agreed to keep open the lines of communication between them. In days to come, however, Evan had more time to think about Michael's analysis of his relationship with Jordan as being cosmic, and the fact that he had been so curiously reticent to characterize the relationship in specific terms. Michael had been responsive to the direct, ugly, disconcerting question of whether or not he was having with Jordan. Rather, Michael just seemed embarrassed by it. Evan, as he would later tell it, began to experience a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach. Small incidents over the next few days made a bigger impact on him. For instance, there was the evening the family was together watching television with Michael when Michael seemed unable to take his eyes off Jordan. When Evan asked Michael if something was wrong, Michael said, "No, I'm just looking at things." However, when Jordan rose to go into the kitchen to fetch a snack, Michael followed. When Jordan went outside to speak to a visiting friend, Michael followed. Finally, when Jordan got up to the bathroom and Michael also rose, Jordan said, "Michael, I'm just going to the bathroom. You can stay here." Embarrassed, Michael laughed and said, "Oh, okay, that's fine." Everyone understood that teenagers have all manner of relationships with non-family members and that those with peers can sometimes have a greater influence on their values and behavior. However, was Michael a peer? Not really. Also, his influence on Jordan was troubling because there were so many unanswered questions about it. Why did Michael and Jordan have so many inside jokes between them as if sharing their own language? Why were they always whispering to one another? Why would they speak softly to one another and then, as soon as they would hear one of Jordan's parents enter the room, clam up? Why was Jordan beginning to dress like Michael with black hats and mirrored sunglasses? Most important, why were they sleeping in the same room? Over the next few weeks, Eva continued to press Michael about the nature of his relationship with Jordan. So much so that Michael began to distance himself from Evan rather than have to undergo any further interrogation. Michael seemed to not understand why Evan was confused about what was going on between him and Jordan. Hadn't he already explained that he and Jordan's true loyal friend? Did they have an agreement to forge ahead with Michael and an accepted part of the family? Again, as Michael had earlier told June, Evan either trusts him or he didn't. The problem was that Michael was unprepared for what might occur if Evan did not trust him. Would he abandon his friendship with Jordan because the boy's father did not trust him? No. When Michael was unhappy with the person was usually ousted from his world. Many important people had shown up in his life and then been banished from it over the years. Some of them, like John Branca, had considered themselves longtime friends of Michael's, but such status did not save them from being terminated. If Michael could let go of John before more than 10 years. Where then did Evan Chandler stand after just a few weeks? Michael stopped returning Evan's telephone calls when Evan became a problem in his life. If he could have fired him or had someone else do the job, he would have done it. However, Michael had seriously underestimated Evan. He wasn't an employee who could be easily dismissed. Rather, he was the father of the boy upon whom Michael had fixated or whatever reason. He was about to allow Michael to come out of his life and out of his friendship with Jordan, especially since he wasn't sure he would trust him. There was something not right about Michael's friendship with Jordan, he decided, and he was going to set it straight if, for no other reason than to prove to Michael Jackson that he could get away with it.